$1,000 general obligation bond series 20.
Here.
John Benson.
Yep.
Bob Von Wolfrat.
Brian Dryling here for Bob.
Mr. Benson.
Andy Buffington.
Mr. Benson.
Here on the phone.
John.
Ellen Hagan.
Present.
Deb Craybill.
Here by phone.
David Ness.
Here.
Jason Leonard.
Here.
Ted Kamachis.
Here.
Michael Casper. Carol Lund Smith.
Here.
Denise Pavlik.
Here.
Linda Frederickson.
Here.
Kelly Grosskirth.
Here.
Senator Feenstra. Senator Brace. Representative Kressig. Representative Holt. Craig Allen.
Here via phone.
Helen Trianovich.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Introduction of board members. Patrick.
Iowa Department of Corrections.
Sheriff Ted Kamachis, Marshall County Sheriff's Office, representing the Iowa State Sheriffs and Deputies Association.
Dave Ness, Des Moines Police, Municipal.
Ellen Hagan, representing volunteer firefighters.
Jason Leonard, Waverly Police Department, representing municipal police departments.
Tom Lampy, DPS.
Trianovich, Deputy Statewide Interoperability Coordinator.
Carol Lund Smith, Iowa Law Enforcement Academy.
Bob Uni, Iowa DOT.
Kelly Grosskirth, Member at Large.
Linda Frederickson, Emergency Medical Services. Denise Pavlik, Scott Emergency Communications Center, Communication Center.
For those board members on the phone,
This is Andy Buffington from Winnebago and Hancock County, representing communication centers.
Deb Crable, Marion Fire Department, representing professional firefighters.
Craig Allen, Statewide Interoperability Coordinator.
Jeff. John.
John Benson, Homeland Security Emergency Management.
Our guest, starting with Melvin.
Melvin Mercado, Project Director for Motorola.
Steve.
Rodriguez, Isicsb Project Manager. Paul Landor, Scott County.
Samantha Brea, Iowa Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Jeff Sundell, DOT.
Eric Green, Iowa DOT. Bob Calvert, Cass County 911.
London Kevin, Interoperability.
Warren County 911. Good gentleman, Colorado County 911. Bobby Anderson, Pike County 911. Marty Smith, Iowa Department of Public Health.
Ryan Mulhall, ICF. Evans, Des Moines Police, APCO Frequency Files for Iowa.
Amanda Roush, Story County.
Curtis Keown, Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Sandy Morris, Des Moines Police Department Communications.
Blake Rush, Iowa Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Tom Rice, Iowa Racing Officer.
Cindy Fox, DPS.
Terry Brennan, Raycom.
Brett Long, Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Chantel Harris, ICN.
Kathy Engel, Senate Democratic Caucus staff.
Okay, welcome everyone. I'd also like to recognize our new board members, David Ness from Des Moines Police, representing police, and Denise Pavlik, representing communications, correct? Okay. Welcome everybody else to the board meeting today. I'm looking for the approval of today's agenda, if I could get that, please.
So move.
Mr. Comanches?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Uni, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of meeting minutes from May 12th, if I could get a motion for that, please.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion? Do a second? Ellen, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, SWIC report. Mr. Allen, are you on the phone?
Yes, sir, I am. Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The SWIC report for June is I participated in the Isicsb LMR recording webinars. I'm sure that Mr. Benson will cover more of this in his outreach report. Participated in the Isicsb weekly project management meetings, conducted strategic planning for Isicsb committee development, including several governance issues, met with county representatives to help answer questions about Isicsb LMR platform and how it may relate to them, and interoperability. Participated in board management meetings to focus on strategic plans for LMR and FirstNet. Worked on LMR sample letter of intent for a new user package and developed a flow chart for that same user package. Participated in the National Council of SWIC's meetings on governance, and I chaired the Technology and Policy Committee meeting this month. Participated in P25 Statement of Requirements meetings and offered comments on some of their proposals. I'm attending the PSCR meeting in San Diego this week. The primary focus of PCR this time is FirstNet technologies and security opportunities, along with challenges in how LTE signal will work with users sending and receiving large data transmission. In light of the phone call, that will be the end of my report unless others have questions for me.
Question for Craig?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Craig. We'll move on. We'll move on to the Deputy SWIC report. Helen.
Thank you, Chair Lampe. Ladies and gentlemen of the board and guests, this is the Deputy SWIC report. As you're aware, we've been in development of a new Isicsb board website for over 6 months. In May, the Iowa's Office of the Chief Information Officer, or the OCIO, announced a change in the web development vendors and that the state would be phasing out the contractor that Isicsb has been working with on our web development. I'm very pleased to inform you that in talks with OCIO web development this week, we have a clear and concise path toward completion of our website update, as well as any upcoming changes we'd like to make. Support from OCIO has been responsive and positive, and we look forward to collaborating with OCIO on the completion of our current website project, as well as future web projects to come. So I just wanted to give you that update and let you know that it's looking good. Isicsb FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee meeting with FirstNet officials on May 3rd brought us news of the upcoming Quality of Service Priority and Preemption Consultation Task Teams, also known as the QPP-CTT, which is a lot easier to say, which is derived of 5 members of our own broadband subcommittee and will engage with FirstNet officials in mid-August. As we look forward to the summer months, we'll be facilitating QPP-CTT regional local feedback through our RIC leaders and our RIC committees. So the first information packets were sent out to our RIC leaders on May 25th, and we'll be coordinating with RICs and potentially with the user group committee over the summer so that the RICs will be working in lockstep with both FirstNet and that Isicsb FirstNet Broadband QPP-CTT subcommittee for that QPP feedback, so we have local input to that. In addition, during the May 3rd meeting, FirstNet requested information gathering task regarding training needs of local users and included a list of questions for RICs to distribute. This summer, we'll be facilitating this information gathering activity with RIC leaders and committees and update results to the Isicsb FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee and FirstNet as well. So that was included in that packet we received on May 3rd. And so we're going to move on to RIC reports, which is something new we're going to do in our meetings moving forward. And I just wanted to start out by saying the RIC chair role encompasses a wide variety of tasks for the Isicsb board. Besides chairing the monthly regional interoperability committee meetings, the RIC chairs have a voting seat on the user group committee. They represent their region, and they attend the user group committee monthly meetings as well. They're also extended members of the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee and invited to participate in those monthly meetings. And we have also this month added the board meeting and report to the board in their already busy Isicsb board schedules. So this month was last minute for them, so we decided that I could do the reports for them. And I just wanted to say a little bit about each regional interoperability committee, and that our RIC leaders, not only do we keep them very busy, but a lot of them are folks with, all of them are folks with full-time jobs, but a lot of them wear multiple hats. So they have multiple roles in their counties, and sometimes they do more than one county. And they do like emergency management for one county and 911 coordination for a different county. And they're very busy people to begin with. And then the effort they put forth for Isicsb is just amazing to see. So in Region 1, our chair, of course, is Rob Dennert, and our vice chair is Jason Hoffman. They have strong regular RIC meetings from the start, and I think one of the most interesting thing has been their conversation on interoperability events monthly, and I was hoping Rob Dennert may want to share some more for the board on that, since he's here.
Thank you, board and guests. Rob Dennert, Region 1, RIC Committee Chair. As Helen mentioned, we have had an interesting agenda item beyond just the updates about FirstNet's progress and the state LMR platform progress. Probably the most interesting and conversational piece at our meetings have been just talking about interoperability within the region. That I've posed the question to the group to be, tell us about good events that have happened, tell us about interoperability issues that you've had. There's been a number of positive discussions about things, but also things that haven't gone so well have been brought up. So I think that's been very good. One thing that I would mention to all those listening and certainly on the board that get the word out, we've tried to expand participation in the RIC. There's probably about a core dozen people that are participating, but we could always use more, and certainly there's counties and areas that are unrepresented so far.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you touch on the task force? FirstNet, the RIC's involvement?
Yeah, I talked about you mean the QPP?
Yes.
CTT, touch on that some more?
So that the RICs know that they're involved with the 5 assigned task force members?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the email that went out May 25th,
Okay.
and that we'll be working on that this summer.
Okay.
Region 2 chair is Brian Blodgett, and Region 2 vice chair is Joel Roney, and they've already done FirstNet outreach. They did to ICIT, which is Iowa County's internet technologies, and they have 7 regular members that meet on a monthly basis. They're reaching out. They want to build their regional committee, however, so they're doing a face-to-face meeting with the county EMAs, the county emergency managers, and this summer, and they've got they're picking a venue in Cerro Gordo. They decided what county they're going to meet in. They haven't got the venue down, but they know they got the county pinned down at this point. So they're going to do a face-to-face meeting this summer, and we're looking forward to being a part of that as well. Region 3 chair is Nate Huizinga, and the vice chair is Sean Olson. And they're a tight-knit group. They're active monthly, and they always meet face-to-face in a different county. They have a traveling RIC meeting, and it's really interesting. I got to go meet them in Cherokee. And if you notice, each region kind of has their own personality, and it's really very neat. Region 4 chair is Doug Reed, and the vice chair is Mike Jensen, and they've gone through a leadership change already. And so we had an original chair that is very active with us. He's here today, as a matter of fact. And so they had a change in leadership, went through it, and they're still going strong. And Doug Reed thought he may be on the phone today. Doug, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to speak to the board?
Sure. Good morning, Chair Lampy and members of the board. Happy to be here speaking about Region 4. We were asked to kind of describe the process that we'd initially gone through to organize our RIC, so I'll be real brief here. As everybody sitting in the room is probably meetinged out on most weeks. We tried to really maximize and take advantage of processes that we have in place here in this region of the state. What we determined would be the best through regular conference and webinar meetings that we were hosting locally throughout the beginning of our RIC and then a fairly quick leadership change that happened, that we needed to find a good format to coordinate information. We saw that our biggest mission and the most important thing that we can do is facilitating communication from the local level up to this board as we move different interoperability platforms and initiatives through the state of Iowa. So what we have done is through vote on our conference calls, elected to appoint a county, what we're calling county interoperability coordinators. And these folks are responsible for doing the local outreach to all of our public safety folks and communications stakeholders. It was becoming clear to us that it was difficult to try and get representation from absolutely every stakeholder and discipline throughout a 17-county region and find a time that most everybody could be there. So we've elected to use these county interoperability coordinators as kind of the core body of our RIC. And once we get our assignments or initiatives down from the users group committee or somewhere within Isicsb, that is dealt with at one of our RIC meetings, which we hold in conjunction with our regional emergency management and homeland security meetings, also keeping webinar and conference call capability for anybody else that wants to join in on the conversation at that level. From there, the county interoperability coordinators go back to their local stakeholders and facilitate the appropriate data mining, project information, or anything else that needs to be done. And they can do that through a venue of ways between face-to-face meetings, planning meetings that they already conduct, meetings within their counties such as county fire rescue or public safety association meetings where they typically meet on a regular basis already. And it's just found to be, and what we hope will prove to be, a good process and information flow by maximizing processes and organizations that already regularly meet and just add the critical topic of interoperability at the local, regional, and state level to standardized agendas and discussions at those gatherings.
Yeah, so what Doug has done is he's created their own regional coordination scheme, and it was shared with the other RIC leaders in one of the user group committee meetings, and hopefully it'll be helpful in some of the other RICs moving forward. Did you have anything else, Doug?
No, ma'am, that'll do it for Region 4.
Okay. Region 5 chair is Jamie Robinson, and the vice chair is Jim Mitchell. These guys probably hit the record last month with 22 participants in their RIC meeting in May. So that was, they've been really beating the bushes, getting people to show up to their meetings, and it really showed last month. Region 6 chair is now vacant. And the Region 6 Vice Chair is Eric Dow, and we've been discussing options moving forward, but we've been doing it through email because he's away out of state and training right now. And so next week, we're going to come up with a plan to move forward to fill that vacancy and get RIC 6 stood up. They have not been meeting regularly. We've been having trouble getting RIC 6 going. So I think with these 5 great examples, we shouldn't have any trouble doing that moving forward. So does anyone have any questions on our regional interoperability committees? Well, that concludes my report.
Great job. Thanks, Doug. Okay, we'll move on to the E911 Council report. Chair Ray is here today.
Just a couple items. Today, we approved the final grants, wireless carryover grants, about $350,000 total there. The projects for fiscal year 16 have to be all completed by June 30th, invoiced to Homeland Security by July 15th. So once this is done, this effectively ends the $100,000 wireless grant program with the legislative changes that came out of this past session. And the only other thing to add is the council took action today that we are going to also do our meetings open electronically with conference call and be on TV just like everybody else. So we're going to proceed with that in July. So
Great.
that's it. Any questions? All right,
Thanks, Steve. Hey, Blake, you're up. Just chomping at the bit, aren't you?
I believe I mentioned last month we did the first version of the frequently asked questions as it relates to the changes to 34A from the legislative session. We updated that, just a couple revisions, so that's version 2 now, and it's posted on our website if anyone is curious. Along those lines, kind of as the launching of all of those changes, we'll have everything figured out, we'll have everything settled, all the templates done. We're going to do 3 webinars, and those are June 27th, 28th, and July 1st, to kind of launch all of those changes officially going into the new fiscal year. You do have to register for those webinars. And I guess if you haven't seen those links, let me know. I'll get you all the information, the times rather. And one note, you do only need to attend one of those. They're all the same, just 3 different options to attend. So we'll be talking about the consolidation grants. We'll be talking about changes to policies, procedures within the 911 program statewide. And along those lines, also out of the legislation from last year, Homeland Security was tasked to study consolidation, come up with a strategic plan. So we have an RFP that was posted to DAS's website yesterday to find a vendor to help us do that. So that closes, I believe, July 1st. We'll pick a vendor after that. That's really as much as I can say about that process. Be aware, once we select that vendor, we intend to engage stakeholders from all over the state to really be a part of that process. So you'll definitely be hearing from us regarding that consolidation strategic planning July into the summer and into the fall. That report is due to the legislature January 15th. So it's kind of a quick turnaround. So again, the more participation, the better. Any questions? Thank you.
Hey, the user group committee, Chair Buffington, are you still on the phone?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. UGC is still really trying to figure out a lot of different things all at the same time. Right now, one of the big things in front of us is the application for Isicsb inclusion. And so right now we have a letter of intent that's been drafted that we've made available to those that have asked for it. And so from there, what they've done is that now we have to be able to provide a packet of information back to those applicants so that they can get the ball rolling. Specifically, the MOA, any type of resolution that's going to have to be signed by any of the participating and subordinate jurisdictions, as well as some questions have to be answered as far as is there any technical specifications at this point. Still waiting for a representative from Motorola to be named to our committee so that those technical questions can be answered a little bit better. We also are working very closely with Bob Uni and the governance committee on what exactly inclusion into the UGC means. So as we start moving, as we start filling people that are going to have access to Isicsb that they would then be able to come up with some sort of application procedure for being able to be included on the user group committee, which ultimately rests with the chair. So other than that, that's really all I have to report at this time.
Any questions for Andy while he's on the phone? Okay, thanks, Andy. Finance Committee, Chair Grosskirth, are you on the phone?
Right here.
Oh, you're right there. You walked in on me.
Sorry.
Wow. Go ahead.
Finance Committee met June 7th, 2 p.m. on the phone through a conference call. We discussed the financials as presented and the Connect Iowa contract renewal, which are both on our agendas. The committee did recommend that the board approve the financials, and I'll review those for you. The Isicsb grant, that is the $2,070,000 323 grant that we have. We have $1,201,966 left in the grant, and this last month, between May 10th and June 1st, we spent $30,584 in that grant. And recall that that is an 80-20 grant, meaning 80% of the grant is paid by the federal government back to the state, and 20% is paid by the state. Our annual appropriation that we have received since 2013, our revenues, and that is an appropriation that rolls over. We keep the unused funds. Began in 2013, and so far we've had a total revenue of $360,138, and our remaining balance in that fund is $195,797. Spent in 2016, this current fiscal year, we have spent $71,593. And the committee did recommend that the board go ahead and approve those financials.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the financials per Kelly's information.
So moved.
Ellen, that's first. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Uni, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And then the Connect Iowa contract is up for renewal. And we did discuss that. Mr. Chair Lampe forwarded us some information regarding that. Our grant funds do not appear like they will extend far enough out for us to use this for a full another year. However, in reviewing that contract, and certainly want legal opinion on this before making a determination for sure, it appears that it is an hourly based contract and we use them as needed. If we use them for 5 hours, we get charged 5 hours. If we don't use them, then we don't get charged. And it appears that there's no severability clauses that are going to force us to pay out for a full year, but that is what we definitely want legal to look at. The committee did go ahead and recommend that we go ahead and renew that contract for a full year, should legal confirm that it doesn't have any severability clauses that will tie us to paying that contract fully out if we don't use them. So that was our opinion on the Renew Connect Iowa.
Do you need any kind of a motion today, or do you want just
I believe that contract's up in July, is that?
July 31st?
So we do have time to get that legal opinion for the July meeting
Okay.
and approve in July.
Fine. Is that
And
it?
travel request, I have not received any, so
Okay.
if there's any, let us know.
Okay.
And that'll be all, Chair.
Thank you. On to governance, Mr. Uni.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So I'm going to be speaking from the handout that I distributed when I came in. The first page has the governance committee members, and we now have Denise as a board member here too. So we'll see, have to see if she wants to stay on this committee or move on to other things. Page 2 and page 3 cover current and future work of the governance committee. So this was a document that was written by Swick Allen. And our June meeting dealt with item number 1, and I'll be talking about that in just a minute. As you page on through the handout, pages 4, 5, and 6 are the policy statement that we talked about last month in great detail, and we're going to talk about just a little bit more this month because we're going to be doing a lot of business with this policy statement as time goes on. Page 7, 8, 9, 10 are that same policy statement that's spread up and split up, so we have line numbers on it, so we have something we can reference as we talk about it. Page 10 is a document that shows the user group standing committee and what its makeup is. And page 11 is, that's on page 11. Page 12 is my attempt to show and demonstrate where some of these items on this come from. So I've referenced, for example, that the RIC chairs, information about those, and it can be found on lines 86 to 88 and so on. And as you look at this, then, this is meant to be an educational document to help educate not only our board members, but others, other users on what the user group committee is made up of, how it's set up. And if you take a look at it here in response to a couple of questions I've had, so we have 18, the blue boxes are local users, and those local users constitute about 82% of the user group committee. And right now we have 3 state users. They constitute about 14% of the committee. And we have no other state users or federal government users. And that's what the gray boxes are. And in answer to a question at our Monday board meeting or committee meeting, I happen to have 3 boxes there. The light gray boxes, they're there just to kind of look symmetrical. There's no way of knowing how many people we will or won't have that constitute those positions. So given that, let's go back to and take a look at page 9. So page 9 and 10 talk about the user group committee and its establishment. So starting on line 84, the board established a standing user group committee, and then it goes and talks about the numbers. And then if you go to page 10, from lines 121 to 124, the user group committee, this is what the user group committee does. The user group committee may recommend to the board on any matters regarding the statewide platform. So that's pretty broad right there, right? And then it has some suggestions of things that this committee can do. And so I guess my prediction is we're going to be hearing a lot from the user group committee. The user group committee and the governance committee continue to work together to develop, look at policies and look at protocols that will help define some of these things. And the specific one that we're working on right now deals with, on page 9, starting at line 103 through 106, we're going to come up with something that is useful relative to these lines. User agencies must demonstrate full-time daily operational / interoperable use on interoperable platform as determined by governance committee, and then may apply in writing to the Isicsb chair for appointment to the committee. And it goes on and talks about that. So right now, the goal for next month governance committee meeting is that a subcommittee has been formed of SWIC Assistant Chair Tranovich, SWIC Allen, Chair Buffington, and myself to deliver by the next governance committee meeting or in prior to that, some kind of a document that spells out what this means. Next thing we're going to tackle at the July meeting, in addition to that, starts with line 106 and continues on to the next page. And it talks about weighted methodologies for Chair Lampy considering governance committee membership. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. So the governance committee is busy. We continue to work on these things, and I stand available for questions from any board members. Or with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Any questions for Bob? Bob, this is a very tedious task, and I appreciate all the work you put in. There's a ton to come of work to do, and Andy and you, the two of you working together is outstanding. I think it really needs to click, and it looks like it is. So appreciate it.
We're bearing down on this with a lot of intensity, and I'm in hope that the board will see the fruit of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Operations, Mr. Comanches.
Mr. Chair, the report I'm going to have for you is very, very short. Following this particular meeting, the Operations Committee, or those members who will be able to be present, are invited to stick around, and some of you are obviously more than welcome to stick around too. We're going to go over, it'll be our first face-to-face meeting of the Operations Committee of this, and we're looking forward to that. I'm going to buy the pizza, and we'll have some munchies, and we'll just get to know each other. The two topical areas we're going to go over at the meeting today are going to predominantly be the STR, where we're at from here, and the methodologies of upkeep and issuance and those type of things, and inventory. And we're also going to go in, and that'll be with Cindy Fox, who's the chair of that subcommittee. Then also Stephen Ray is here, and the public-private partnership subcommittee of operations is going to go over its methodology, development, how we're going to select the people who'll be on it, how we're going to retain them, and those type of things. So basically, the only other thing that I had, and you're going to talk about new business, is just more curiosity about the new truck for the STR trailers. So other than that, sir, that's all I have for a report.
Okay, sir. Outreach, John.
Most of you probably know we started to conducted the first 4 webinars with regard to the interoperability platform. Out of that, through those total of 4, we had 178 unique attendees. We took 30 online questions essentially during those sessions. Out of that, we're going to be developing an FAQ. I've kind of assembled the questions, put them together, and got them out to the participants to answer. Some of them will be obviously network-based, some of them are policy-based. But we'll get those out. We'll get them up on the website. If anybody's curious to go back and look at that, you can actually find that on the board's website. If you click on the little YouTube logo up in the right-hand corner, you will find that on the board's YouTube page. Sean did do a survey on that. I haven't had a chance to ingest it or take a look at it yet, but that'll give us some, it'll give us a view on some things we might need to improve or things we might need to include as we move into the technical phase. We're gonna have 2 more dates coming here in the future where we're gonna do technical-based briefings. The first 2 we did were essentially policy-based stuff. The next set will actually be more technical in terms of, for your radio guys out there, how do the A's and B's and C's all fit together? It'll be stuff I absolutely will not understand. But we'll go ahead and get those set up. What I think I need to at least recognize Sean, Shweta, Jontel, Melvin, who all helped with it, get this thing set up and make it work really quite well. It appears that it was at least reasonably well received. I didn't have anybody screaming at me after we got done on the phone or anything like that. So that's kind of how I judge it. But it seemed like it went pretty well. We'll take a look at what the feedback was we got from the survey, make some changes to it. But what are the dates we set for the technical ones? I don't remember. Sometime between now and December 31st. We'll go with that. No, I think it's end of June, beginning of July. Does that sound right? Okay, whatever. It's sometime between now and Christmas. So we'll go ahead and get those done, and then once we get done with those, we'll also the committee will take a look and based on the survey results that we've seen, kind of figure out what gaps we need to start filling in to help get more information and where are the holes in terms of knowledge base out at the local level, those type of things. So, yeah, so I think that's it. I've got nothing else urgent, if anybody has any questions. No?
Might I say, not a question, just a good comment. I was sitting in ER with a friend keeping her company. So I didn't have my computer, but I had my iPhone. After I finally figured out, download the app, then I could get in. It was really good.
Good.
It was good.
Good. All right, so that's one positive vote. Thank you.
Got 2. It was excellent. And the work is very professionally done and really turned out well.
All right, so Sean, do you have anything you want to add to that, do you think? No? Yeah.
Well, the survey results were overall.
Nope, you can have it. I'm done.
The survey results overall were very positive. The download comment was received.
We did have, a couple of technical things, but as if you were on the phone, you saw we recovered rather quickly. Our team is, a lot of this technology is new, just like this room's technology is new for us, and everybody is learning as fast as possible. The comments generally were, we want more. We want more updates. This platform works really well for us. Our volunteers can see it. Our full-timers can see it. It was very positive. I think other than, a comment about the download, and I think there was also a comment about the sound when we had the little technical glitch. But everything was very well received. And we've been working on been trying to do a very aggressive timeline to make sure that you get the information as quickly as possible. We are still working to schedule the technical webinars. Those dates we're still finalizing. Melvin sent us an update, so we're just trying to make sure. We've been trying to record the webinars so that we get as pristine sound as possible. We know sound is always the issue, and making sure that you can hear what we're talking about and see is, seeing is one thing. You can always see a slideshow, but hearing is critical. So making sure that we have pristine sound is what we're driving for. As far as outreach is concerned, we're still working on the Y School program. I don't really have a full update for that. I will provide a more full update at our next meeting. I just want to make sure it is progressing. It's just I don't have a timeline or anything to really deliver at this point. The website, as Helen said, we're going through a transition with the OCIO and more to come. The social media strategy, we've been posting to YouTube and our Flickr channel. We're just waiting for a couple more things before we push everything. We did post the video, and I did receive a comment that they would like a link on it also on our website underneath the radio. I'll be doing that later today. But other than that, that's pretty much the sum of my update, unless there's any questions.
John, for the benefit of our new board members and for anybody else, would you go over just at a high-level overview of the pilot, and I quote, pilot project
Sure.
of the Y School program?
So the Y School pilot project is 3 schools in which where we are working to set up, and we kind of coined the acronym after DPS. It just became a joke. That we were fortunate enough it came out to dedicated, private, secure. And so that's what we're trying to establish is a Wi-Fi connection for public safety entities through DPS. Now, we're still working through the logistics of how public safety people in the communities will work, but it will be a path through DPS to get onto this network. We are looking at, it's Marshalltown, Norwalk, and Martinsdale. So what this will do is provide a dedicated, private, secure Wi-Fi network for public safety individuals on site. So whether it's to download reports, to download their arbitrator video, to access different aspects, all of this stuff is up to be determined. We have been successfully testing at DPS the download speeds, which are superior to just about anything that they can receive in the field. They're receiving up to 100 megabit connections. And that is what we're working on. So as you can imagine, if you're downloading videos, 100 megabit connection is a big difference as compared to your air cards. And so having that dedicated speed and connectivity for a public safety individual, as you can imagine, would be extremely beneficial versus going up to an unsecure, unprivate network like McDonald's or Starbucks, or even going up to a DOT site. This is dedicated just for them. They have to have credentials, they have to be approved, and they have to sign in versus a pit stop along the road. So, and hopefully that summarizes it. If there's any questions.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
We'll move on to training and exercises. Wally here today? You gonna address it? Okay.
With Tom Beckman's retirement, we need someone to step up, a trainer, to step up and chair this committee. Someone that knowledgeable, has access to that training thing, so we can keep moving forward. So I don't know who that is. I don't know if it's Wally. I know we talked about Wally stepping into that role, but someone needs to step into that role.
It has to be a board member to chair it. Anybody, we can have a vice chair from outside the board, but a board member has to chair that standing committee.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't know the process, but I know that we do need to fill that role.
Yes, we do. I agree. Okay. Technology. Mr. Updike.
I'll keep this relatively short. The last call on May 26, 2016, first item was the P25 LMR fleet mapping. This is currently a work in progress, so it's nothing that's going to be finished overnight. So right now most of the time is being spent getting the systems set up for the NGA event in July, and so we're not really dealing with fleet mapping per se at a first stage. We're kind of in a holding pattern until this NGA event finalizes. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. There's upcoming DDR meetings that I will be attending, and hopefully some of the other members of the technology committee, and that's coming up here next week. The next item was on our call was the interoperability channels, NIFOG, IFOG plan. Real quickly, I did talk to Mike Drake, who is with the Department of Corrections, who is a member of LEATAC, and he was pretty much in agreement that the Isicsb Technology Committee should work with LEATAC in maintaining those rules governing interoperability channels, mutual aid channels, etc. So it looks like the Technology Committee is going to plan on continuing that idea, and also the Technology Committee is seeking input from the fire and EMS communities regarding their interoperability and mutual aid channels so that we can have them involved at the same type of setup as LEATAC. So the only other thing that came up in all of this was Iowa Department of Public Health and who is acting on their behalf, because obviously when you get back to this fleet mapping and interoperability issue, they have, they do operate on an EDAC system here, and how are they going to participate in all of this with interoperability and being part of the P25 system? So we're outreaching to these various people around the state to get their input and find out who's who and how they're going to be involved.
I'll take responsibility on the Department of Public Health. I do have a contact that I have not got back to yet to make sure that we can get somebody from that to fill Tom's spot. So
okay.
It's work in progress.
Okay. That's it. Thanks.
Department of Homeland Security, Jim Lundstedt. You happen to be on the phone today?
I am, sir. Sorry, it took a minute to get off mute. Chair Lampe, nothing significant to report. I will remind the board that we had a technical assistance project for 911 that the lead has reached back out to, I believe, to Blake and to Craig and others to try to see if we can get the 911 workshop rescheduled. We also have begun taking applications for the All Hazards Communications Technician Train the Trainer class that will be held in West Des Moines in September. That's just begun. And other than that, I did attend a very good Project 25 user needs subcommittee meeting this morning in Kansas City, where the success stories about Project 25 wide area systems was shared both with the Kansas City the metropolitan area regional radio system and the state of Missouri system links via ISSI and plans for interstate connections between Missouri, Nebraska, Tennessee, Illinois, and perhaps future link to Iowa were briefed. If anybody is interested, I can share the slide deck with you. But other than that, that's the only thing that's currently on my radar, sir.
Okay. Appreciate it. I want to jump back to the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee. John Tell.
Good
Sorry.
morning. I'm presenting on behalf of Rick Lombard, the chair of the FirstNet Broadband Committee. The committee did not meet and will not meet within the month of June, but the FirstNet process is moving forward. The deadline for submitting the FirstNet RFP and proposals was May 31st, so the end of the month, and the evaluation phase has begun. FirstNet is following the federal procurement regulations, which restricts their ability to discuss how many proposals were received and who submitted the proposals, but the contract award is expected as soon as November of 2016. The committee is working with FirstNet to coordinate the QPP meetings that Helen was discussing, hopefully towards the end of the summer. The Iowa team will be comprised of 5 members of the FirstNet Broadband Committee and also the RIC members. So Iowa is expecting to host that meeting, and we will be sure to keep the board updated when we select a date for that. The next FirstNet Public-Private Partnership Summit will be held on Thursday, August 25th in the Grimes State Office Building. We are again offering video conference abilities, and we are currently securing panelists, so we'll have more updates on that next month. And the next meeting for the committee is Tuesday, July 5th at the Orrin Peak Building. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Looks like FirstNet's moving forward pretty quickly.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, information that you'd like to share with the board, open it up to the board members for anything we want to talk about. Anybody else? Okay. Probably this, if it's not on new business today, we'll probably, go ahead.
Okay. I attended the Western Iowa Supervisor Group meeting. There are 3 supervisor groups. The state basically is split into thirds. And the Western Iowa Supervisor Group meeting, apparently there was a mailing that was made to the engineer's office rather than the point of contact there regarding towers and things like that. I believe it was Page County. So the group just asked that I bring back to the board to ensure that mailings or contacts actually go to those agencies or those points of contact within the agency so that they're at least aware of what is happening within their county.
Did that have to do with the zoning?
Yes.
And the engineer's office received the letter, or the attorneys?
Rob Coppert, do you remember, was it engineers or was it planning and zoning?
It was the engineer's office, but I know that the engineer's office.
Yeah, but they just requested that they also be aware of it since it's
Sure.
in their county and so that they're not kind of blindsided.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Motorola. Melvin, you're up. Update on the Isicsb.
Set this thing up real quick. Does everybody see the presentation on the screen?
No. There we go.
It is or no? Perfect. All right. I feel the urge to make this quick because everybody keeps on saying, we're going to make this quick. So I'm going to make it quick. All right. So this has been actually the busiest month of all so far. We've peaked. We've had lots of late hours, long days. So I wanted to talk about all the actions that we've taken from the last time we met. So the first piece here is that we've actually completed the installation of the first Isicsb core. And that was a major achievement, a lot of coordination with a lot of folks, including Rob Denner from Westcom and DPS and the folks from ICN. And Stephen Rodriguez's team was really critical in making this happen. So we're really happy that we were able to finish the installation of the first core. We still have 2 to go. But the important thing about that is that we were able to actually cut Westcom over onto the Isicsb core. What that means is that it's live. 1 out of 3, so we're making a lot of progress, and that's another major accomplishment. We had to touch a lot of sites 3 o'clock in the morning, so we wouldn't disrupt obviously a live system, which Westcom was. We worked weekends, nights, all sorts of hours of the day and night, but we got it done. We're still fine tuning some things, but again, thumbs up for Rob. He's put up with a lot from us, and that was significant. And again, the ICN team and Stephen's team was very important. We could not have done this on our own. So that was a major accomplishment. We are alive on Isicsb, and that's a really big deal. In addition to that, we've installed and powered up the Des Moines simulcast cell. It's operational. And I have here in parentheses wide area trunking, and what that means is that the Des Moines simulcast cell is also connected to the Isicsb core. Again, now we have 2 simulcast cells on the platform, which means that folks connected to the Des Moines simulcast cell can talk directly to folks that are connected to the Westcom cell. So again, a big accomplishment on that. The other piece is that as part of this effort, we also were able to establish the Des Moines Dispatch Center at JFHQ. That's also operational. And it's operational in parallel with the existing dispatch center that's there. So we're running concurrently together so that we don't affect operations on DPS right now. But the plan is eventually to switch everybody over to be on the platform side of the dispatch center. But we've confirmed that we can access radio users all the way from over there. In addition, there is a special location that we're going to use for NGA. I call it NGA Command Dispatch, and that's operational as well. Well, we have 2 dedicated operator positions that are placed in a strategic place, and it's linked all the way back to the core via ICN fiber. So that's operational. And then another achievement that we were able to accomplish is to have Unity Point also operational as well, which is a big deal. It's operational over the radio interface, and pretty soon, when we get all the plans together, linking it wireline, that would also be completed as well. And of course, the Isicsb policy webinar support. So we spent a lot of time with the outreach team, and that was a pretty good experience as well. So all in all, it's been a very, very busy month. We've had a lot of resources out here. Beyond my immediate team, we've had subcontractors, architects, engineers, technicians. We've had Rob's team. We've had the outreach team. So a lot of balls up in the air, but we got it done. So we're pretty happy about that. All right, so you've seen this diagram before, and we've been focusing on the brown box here, which is blinking. It's all the site development work. So I wanted to provide really a sort of more of a summary, and I have the region by region, but I figured it was better to look at a summary right now. So this table is pretty busy. You've seen the numbers, but I wanted to highlight a few things. So since the beginning of the project, we've been really focusing on these 2 items here, which is the identifying people and doing the A&E visits. We're kind of moving beyond that. We're up there at 94, 91%. And we're not 100% because we have stragglers that are specific to lease sites that we don't want to engage until we lock in some of the other stuff as well, just in case there's movement. So I'm going to start de-emphasizing those, and probably in the future, we'll probably just remove those from the table as well, so we can actually have more space, and maybe we can make the font a little bit bigger. The next piece here is where we're spending a lot of focus, and this is the NEPAs, the SHPOs, and the migratory path for birds. If you notice under NEPA, that stands for greenfield. The SHPOs, the VAR stands for variable. And then the migratory birds public notice, that's also greenfield sites. So greenfields means that we're building something new. For the most part, it's towers. But every time we have to do any form of construction, we have to go through this process, the NEPA process, which is all the federal regulatory type stuff, and it's tons of paperwork. And right now, we're looking at doing that for 46 sites. The NEPAs really dictate what we do with SHPOs and the migratory bird public notice. So we start with them being the same, and then depending on what the NEPA shows, we start reducing those numbers. So as an example, let me see if this shows. Can you guys see my little arrow moving? All right. So as an example, we show 46 NEPAs that we wanted to do. We actually have 28 in progress, and we've completed 1. So, but this over here, the SHPO used to be 46, but as a result of this, we've determined that there's 3 that weren't really needed, so that gets dropped to 43, right? So it's a process. These numbers will adjust. And then again, over here, the migratory bird public notice, again, it really depends on what these guys say. And then once that dictates it, then these numbers start flowing down here. So this is what we're going to start focusing on the next piece. But in addition, the next thing that we want to start focusing on is the structural analysis and the modification analysis. So we've identified, for example, there's 33 sites that we have to do structural analysis on these towers, right? We started 7, actually we've completed 19, and we have another 7 that are in progress, okay? And again, just like with the other side, over here, this 33 number was over here, but this number starts to reduce depending on what we find over here. So as an example, this is 29 because we found that 4 of the towers don't need a modification analysis. And the reason you don't need a modification analysis is because the tower actually passed the structural analysis. So if it doesn't pass, then you go into modification analysis, which says, can we modify this tower to support the load that we need, right? And we make a determination, you do all the math and figure out, can it be modified and to what extent? Sometimes we find out that it can't be modified, so we have to redo another tower. So that's where the 58% number down here, right? So 19 out of 33 have been completed. The end goal here is the final CDs and the notice to proceed, NTPs. So we have 89 sites. We have 69 sites that are in progress, right, for final CDs. Once we have all of these CDs done, this is where we have, and this would be it's right now in progress, and you see 0 done, because part of this, NEPAs, SHPOs, all that information will feed into the final CDs as well. So some of the items that feed into this will help to complete the CDs, which is where we have the PE stamp packages that we provide for everybody to look at. The packages are huge. They're usually a binder about this thick. It's not really exciting stuff to look at. And that's one of the reasons why we separate that from the DDRs. We have a DDR on just for that, because there's folks that actually like looking at this stuff. So we like to keep us separated from the folks that really focus on the technical stuff, because it's just, it's not really exciting stuff. It's very intense, a lot of details, and unless you really know what you're looking for, it'll just put you to sleep. All right, so in summary, if I look at this, right, this category here, with the NEPA, SHPOs, and migratory bird public notice, this is the stuff that takes forever, right? Because it's all out of our hands. We submit the paperwork and then we wait. The next piece is, again, these two, structural and mod analysis. This is all where we have engineers looking at all this stuff, crunching numbers. We've done this, for example, when we installed equipment at the Des Moines radio shop for the simulcast there. We had to do analysis, and there's a package with all sorts of numbers, and they show the loading on every leg of the tower. So there's a lot of numbers that go into that in order for us to even get to the point where we could start installing there. And then the last piece here is what our goal is to get it done, right? So that we can get the NTP, right? Now, as exciting as that piece is there, the last piece, in reality, that's all refers to the pre-construction phase. So the real way to look at this is really in terms more of a relay race, right? Because once we're done with the pre-construction phase is when we actually start with the construction. So this is the slow piece of it, and it's long. But once we get to the NTP, that's where you start seeing a lot of action, right? And you've seen that even with the work that we've been doing with the installation of the equipment for the Corps and Westcom and Des Moines. Once we got the paperwork and all the paperwork and all the permits in place, I mean, we got folks out there and we got that stuff done very, very quickly. So when we look at this, again, the emphasis now is we're moving away from these columns here, and it's just this. I won't really bother to go through it other than this gets posted so you can see it here on a region per region basis, right? Same deal with regions 4, 5, and 6. So the good news is that we're moving along. We have, last time we spoke, we had 29 sites that had zoning issues. We've gone through those and we are down to, I think it's 19, either 19 or 16 sites right now. So it's been a huge reduction. We still have to deal with some of the other zoning issues, but that's a big number. Because zoning, we can get bogged down in zoning, so the less sites that we have to deal with zoning, the better it is for the project. All right, so action items as we move forward. Next week, we're going to have the engineering DDR, which is not the brown box stuff that we covered here. It's the blue box that you've seen every time I get up here. And it's really focusing on the structure of the system, the design of the system, what the requirements were, what we provided, right? That's going to be three full days that we set up in downtown Des Moines. The only place where we can accommodate 100 folks. I was actually pretty busy. It's hard to find places here. The system optimization is to continue. So this week and next week, we're going to continue fine-tuning the combiners and whatnot. Even though we're up in the air, we want to make sure that it's perfectly tuned. And it's a process that we usually wait until all the sites are connected and everything is working. And then once we're satisfied, then we start with the fine-tuning of the combiners. The next piece is NGA training. We're going to do that in June this month as well. So we have two pieces to do, the dispatch and the radio. So we want to make sure that folks are comfortable with how the trunk radios work and the dispatch positions as well. So for the NGA, we want to make sure that there's no confusion. So we programmed everything specific for the NGA event. We work with the folks involved in this, and it's already programmed. We've tested it, so now we just want to make sure that we train folks on how to actually use it. Make sure people are comfortable with it. The other piece of this is Wave and GPS. Again, for the NGA, we're going to be providing the capability of a feature. It's called Wave. And it's an application that you load on your phone. So what that means is that even in the future, if this is something that folks want to use, they'll have the capability, for example, a fire chief or police chief that wants to stay in touch with his folks back at home, but he can go on vacation in Hawaii, he can still have access to the trunk radio system via his Wave application on his smartphone. We've been using it right now. We have a core group of folks that actually have it on our phones right now. It's not connected to the trunk system yet because we want to make sure that everything else was fine. So the next step is basically to interconnect that through all of our firewalls and make sure that, again, for the NGA, the folks that are going to have this application have the capability of using it and know how to use it. And that's important because, you know, if there's any travels that go outside of the coverage footprint that's operational right now, that way these individuals can still reach to the folks that are on the trunk system, which is a big deal. The other piece is coordination with Dallas County project. Again, at some point we'll be looking at connecting this into the core as well. Right now it's just the dispatch, kind of like Unity Point, but at some point that will be connecting onto the core as well. So we got some coordination to take place there. And the next step would be the Isicsb technical webinar support. So just like we did for all the policy stuff, we'll be doing another wave of webinars, but are specific to technical needs. That's all I had.
Okay, very good.
Right.
We'll move on to old business. Real brief, Dallas County's application. So we really have, according to Chair Buffington, we have the application process is still in the works, but we do have a letter of intent from Dallas County that I received last week, and I forwarded that to the chair of the user group committee. So that's work in progress. Woodbury County's MOA is work in progress also. Working on a letter of intent. It's in the draft stage for his MOA and his addendum to that MOA. We're working through that. He has a meeting Monday for his board there to talk about the Isicsb system, so it's important that I get that back to him and he gets that signed. Moving on to new business, under A, truck for the STR. Wanted to bring it to the board's attention, and I'm going to push this to operations to look into this. We always have trouble, especially with the Central. It takes a little time to get a truck to pull these things. It's always our biggest challenge since it's not a self-contained thing. So I talked with Chair Uni about possibly going to the auction, the DOT auction, and get a used truck that we could have. I can't see trying to buy a new truck and have it sit there and run 100 miles a year, but something that's got a lot of miles on it, but would make more sense maybe to look into the DOT auction. Maybe we could purchase one from them at a really good price that we could assign to that Central trailer or the West or East for that matter if we need one. So I'd like to push that to your committee if you don't mind to research that and get back, work with finance on it and see if we can take it out of our state funds maybe for a purchase. I do know that there is one sitting there now that we could probably have unless they pushed it to the auction.
We're holding it.
Okay, so he's holding it. So we do have one available for Central now if we could get it.
We're talking like a tonner, that type of thing?
I think it's a 1 ton. Yeah, gas. So it's orange. So. Okay, and now back to the last month I announced I was going to talk about this ISI committee and announce the formation of that today. And I'm going to formally announce that I've talked to Craig Allen, our SWIC, and if you remember what an ISSI is, and Jim Lundstedt did report that he was down in Missouri talking about the ISSI solution for state to state. But we have one ISSI solution for our part of our RFP as part of our contract, and we want to make sure that we use that solution the best and most effective way we can. So in order to do that, I'd like to form a committee with the SWIC chairing that committee, and the vice chair, co-chair of it will be Bob Van Walfred, our CIO, state CIO. So I'm going to task those two with getting this committee assigned and moving. We do have funds available in our account. for research into that solution if we choose to use those. So I would ask that the chair of the SWIC and Bob, CIO, research into how much funds they need and what research they would use that for. Working with Kelly's committee to see what we need to spend on that, because it is available. It's a very important solution. The goal of the committee is to research how best we can use that solution, because we're after interoperability in this state with everything possible, not just a silo here. This is built for a reason. That's interoperability with everyone and systems, and that's what ISSI provides, is connecting to other systems. There's lots of ways to do it. There's pros and cons on doing that. So that committee would be charged with the best way to use that. I would also ask that that committee research into the PSIC grants that were issued by this board in 2009 and 10, that the board issued over $9 or $10 million to counties for interoperability through the PSIC grants. Some of those applications that I've looked through, that those entities that did receive money indicated that part of their package would be connecting to the future statewide 700 megahertz system. So I would ask that committee research those applications and get not only for the people that applied for those monies and received monies, and approach them, see how the process is going to be. And now it's here, so how are we going to work through this to get it to work? So I'd like to have that by May of 17, if we could, a recommendation to this board on how to use that solution, unless that solution needs to be decided quicker through Motorola and in the process of building this network. If we need to make a decision before that, we can work with Motorola on that. But I don't anticipate that being a problem by having a recommendation by May. I don't think through our contract that we need to identify how we're going to use that during this summer or fall, because we're not close to even having the system operational yet. I view that as the system's up. How are we going to connect another system once ours is working? So I don't see that as being an issue. So that committee will get back a report every month to us and see how that's coming. But I think that's a positive way to keep this ISI solution in mind, so we have total interoperability with our other systems in this state. So, anybody else got any comments or questions on that? Anything that you'd like to see that committee do? I'll open it up. Okay, we're moving right along today. Yeah. Public comment, I'm going to open up to our guests today. You can address the board if you'd like. I ask that you come up to the podium if you need to talk with us, and open it up today. Okay. Anybody on the phone? Any public comments on the phone? Any guests we have today?
Chair Lampy, Jim Lundstedt, I have 2 comments, if I might.
Sure.
First, regarding ISSI, would urge you to use your contacts through SWIC Allen with the Federal Partnership for Interoperable Communications to remain tuned in to how that is being used in other areas. I know you attended the working group meeting out in Denver on that, and it represents lots of technological capabilities and lots of challenges. Your timeline is excellent, but there will be some good lessons learned with interstate as well as intersystem use within the next year. So I think your timing is good. Second, I would like to compliment the board on outreach from Rob Dennert and Patrick Updike on a recent FCC decision in which there was an erroneous statement about the use of 800 megahertz interoperability frequencies perhaps being mandated to be narrow-banded. They called that to my attention. That was a concern. When I reached out to FCC, they realized that they had misquoted one of the parts of the statement and have issued a correction. So the work of the Iowa board and your members is very much appreciated, and again noted that nationwide impact from being aware. Last comment that I would make is, as I was listening to the brief from Motorola about NEPA, SHPO, and migratory birds, keep in mind our friends at FirstNet will fight exactly these same issues as we begin building a nationwide public safety broadband network. That network is not exempt from the same requirements that we're dealing with in attempting to build LMR systems. So the future is bright, but the future does have some regulatory challenges ahead of it. That's all I have, unless questions for me.
Jim, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you be interested in being on the ISSI committee to assist Craig and the CIO?
Yes, I'd be happy to do so, as well as see if I can find some other smart people to serve as adjuncts or ad hoc input, if you would like.
I know we have some great contacts through the TIA group that Craig sits on. That there's the best of the best is in the room when it comes to those people. I did attend that one in Denver, and there was some people there that already use the ISSI. That we got a great education on the pros and cons with that. So we had good contacts with that. So I think this will be an excellent committee. The funds are available to reach out if they have to attend meetings. Let's do it right. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, we're adjourned.